both in the classroom and on the field. The man who had a Cobb County school named after him. He was and still is a beloved husband and father who did not get a chance to meet his grandchildren, but they have been told many great stories about their grandfather. The Corky Kell Classic, named in Corky's honor after he passed away, will turn 32 this year. It is indeed a classic, the opening of the Georgia high school football season. It started back in 1992, that today is perhaps the biggest event of its kind in the country. One number stands out more than the others. Last year, if you added up the fans that went to the games, the 11 games, watched it on TV, watched it online or on their phones, and listened to it on the radio, more than 745,000 high school football fans tuned in to the Corky Kell Classic. That is the Corky Kell Classic, a relic, and so is the man that we will honor today. But first, I just wanted to throw out there a couple of changes with the Corky Kell Classic this season. The lineup this season includes 11 games in 4 days at 4 different venues. We'll start off on August 16th, Wednesday. It'll be Johns Creek in North Atlanta, followed by Parkview and Kell. The next night will be at West Forsyth High School. We'll have Archer in North Forsyth, followed by Cherokee in West Forsyth. Friday, we'll move everything up to Rome. We'll start early that day. Thank you, Robin. With Mount Pisgah and Fellowship Christian. They'll be followed by Creekside and Kennesaw Mountain. And, of course, the wrap-up game will be Cass against Rome at Barron Stadium. And then Saturday, we'll follow it up with 4 games at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We'll start at 10 o'clock with Norcross and Marietta. We'll follow with Brookwood and McEachern. Then we've got the state champion, Mill Creek, playing North Gwinnett. And we'll finish the evening with Grayson and Walton. Another couple of notes that we've changed this year, the Corky Kell Classic 7-on-7 tournament is moving from Roswell Area Park and surrounding high schools to the campus of Georgia Tech. We will go from 40 schools to 66 schools over the 3 days in June. Georgia Tech's new high school relations director and familiar high school coach, Tim McFarland, is on hand today, as well as another high school favorite and championship coach, Bill Stewart, who is serving as an analyst on the Flats. I want to thank both coaches for coming today, and we certainly are excited about not only going over to Georgia Tech, but seeing what you guys can do at Tech. The Corky Kell Classic will also be testing the new video review policy for the 2023 GHSA State Championships. We will do so at the 4 games that will be played right here at Mercedes-Benz on August 19th. Robin Hines, the GH Executive Director, who you will hear from later, put this important task in our hands, and the Corky Kell Classic is thrilled to be handling it. So thanks, Robin and the GHSA. Finally, the reason why we are here today is to announce that going forward, from this second forward, the Corky Kell Classic will be renamed the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. Let that roll off your tongue a few times. 2 great men, 2 great coaches who helped shape thousands of high school lives. But before we officially unveil the logo, several members of Georgia's high school football world would like to say a few words. The first is friend Tim Zalowski, the new president of Arthur M. Blank Sports and Entertainment. And let me just say this about Tim. Tim and I go back a long time, and I think we've watched each other grow, but Tim is somebody that has done so much, for Atlanta as far as what they've done here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I want to congratulate Tim on his new promotion, and he was really crucial in our move to Mercedes-Benz from the Georgia Dome. Tim?
Thank you and welcome to everyone appreciate the acknowledgement on a promotion, but today's about Mr. Hunter right here. So I got the privilege of getting to know Dave Hunter 2017, 2016 when Georgia Dome was coming down and we were building the stadium you're in today. And IJ and Coach Hunter wanted to bring the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So in that privilege, I got to think about a man that really three things come to mind: gratitude, dedication, and legacy. When you think about from a gratitude, this is a gentleman who has given his time, effort, and energy to the youth, to the communities they serve, and growing the game of football. So thank you for doing that. Okay. From dedication, 40 plus years being a football coach, being an administrator, and being a promoter, and ultimately being an ambassador for the game and for those kids he's got to serve. And I'm sure every kid listened, as well as every parent was a peach to deal with along the way. Finally, legacy. A lot of people strive to make a difference in people's lives. This man has for not only the 40 years, the years preceding that, and every day and every person he touches. People will go on and having had, because of his work in partnership with IJ, having had the opportunity to play where the pros play, to build friendships, to learn lifelong lessons, and ultimately to have memories that last a lifetime. Mr. Hunter, thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, Tim. Now we'll have Randy Beal, the business manager of the North Georgia Building Trades Council and Corky Kell's title sponsor. I will say this: during the pandemic, which was very difficult on all of us, Randy and his group of unions have been instrumental in not only keeping Corky Kell alive, but keeping Corky Kell moving forward.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. All right, thank you. On behalf of GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and the Building Trades and our 19 local union affiliates, we're honored to be here today. I have several of my board of directors here: Matt Stell with the Elevator Constructors, Robert Duffield with the Iron Workers, Kenny Mullins, IBEW, and Robert Strickland with the Millwrights. Thank y'all for being here, and thank you for your support. I met Dave several years ago through a mutual friend and colleague of mine, Kenny Mullins with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and we had a meeting, and I left that meeting with the hopes that my board would agree that the Corky Kell Classic was a great opportunity for us to showcase our organizations, our free training, and directly connecting with high school students. But more importantly, I left that meeting at Mary Mac's with a new friend, and that's Dave Hunter. Dave and I, over the past several years, have shared many conversations, and for me, those conversations have been a great opportunity to learn from a man that I have grown to admire, love, respect, and have great admiration for. His stories about high school football are only overshadowed when he begins to talk about the individuals that he coached. He speaks with pride like a father who would speak of his own children. Like many others, he told me of the story how the Kickoff Classic came to be and how he made a promise to Corky that he would keep the game going. To some people, a promise is words speak, but not to Dave. And that speaks to his character, his dedication, hard work, and his perseverance. Dave, you've kept your promise to keep the game going, but you did much more than that. You grew the game, and sometimes that's overlooked. But on behalf of GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com, our 19 local union affiliates, our 20,000 brother and sister members, we want to congratulate you for all your contributions to high school football, but most importantly, your steadfastness in keeping your promise to your friend, which I know is important for you. Dave, thank you for your friendship. We look forward to continuing our partnership with Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic, as we have just signed another 3-year agreement to be the title sponsor. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. And one other thing about Randy, we certainly really appreciate the support of Kenny and all the unions. But Randy, just as a friend of the Classic and just the type of person he is, has really spilled over in addition to the financial support that the unions give us. So thanks, Randy. Corky Kell passed away in 1995, but his family have been supportive of the event in every way. Here we have Kim Kell Stinson, Corky's daughter, and her husband, Mike, her son, and his wife, Megan, Carol's Corky's wife, Carol, could not be here today, but I want to personally thank her for all she's done through the years. Kim, can you come on up?
Thank you, IJ, for asking me to say a few words today on behalf of the Kell family. The first words that come to mind today at this appropriate announcement are appropriate and well-deserved. It's been 28 years since my dad passed away, and Dave Hunter has continued this dream that he and my dad and several other innovative high school coaches came up with over 3 decades ago. They came up with the crazy idea that wouldn't it be special if the top high school football players, cheerleaders, and bands could play and perform at a venue like Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And it is incredible how that idea has grown under your leadership, Dave Hunter. If my dad were here today, he would say, "Well done, my friend." Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and at best to your mother, please. When I called Norcross head coach Keith Maloof to speak today, he said, "Why don't you ask my brother Kevin?" Kevin actually is one of Dave's best friends. I said, "No, I want you." And the reason I want you is because Keith Maloof is certainly the dean today of Corky Kell coaches, but he has also built an incredible community in his many years at Norcross. And that's the same thing that Corky and Dave believe in strongly, and that's community. So Keith, can you come on up?
Can I tell him what I told you when you asked me to speak? Yeah. No, IJ called and said, "Coach, will you please?" No, he said, "Coach, will you talk about Coach Hunter and what in Norcross and what Corky Kell has meant to your school and your program and what?" I said, "I don't even like Coach Hunter, but I do love and respect Coach Hunter. That's the bigger part of my heart, my brother." And he are best friends, good friends, with a lot of other guys in this building that could be talking about Coach Hunter a lot better than I can. But I'm going to do the best I can with the ability God gave me, like my dad tells us all. But Beverly's the one, okay? She's the one. And behind every great man, I've learned this with my wife telling me all the time, behind every good person is their wife. Beverly, thank you for what you do for Dave to help him do all this. You know, there's a lot of things that I can talk about, but everybody knows Coach Hunter's Gwinnett Hall of Fame, Georgia Coaches Hall of Fame, Atlanta Sports Hall of Fame. You know, beat Clark Central for the first time, a Gwinnett coach beating Clark Central for the first time, and I get to Norcross, I played Clark Central one time and beat them. I don't know what big a deal that was, but that's a big highlight in Gwinnett's, you know, history of football. That Clark Central and the Cedar Shoals were beating Gwinnett, and then Coach Hunter proved we can play and compete with anybody, not only on the field, but off the field. That's, you know, the things that I've learned from my brother Kevin, we all have learned from Coach Hunter, that, you know, these guys started what we continued. My community is because of what these guys have done in their communities. And I'm proud, and I cheat a lot when it comes to football. I like to steal what other people are doing and implement it in what I'm doing because it's successful and it works. But the bottom line, he cares about kids. That's number one, cares about kids, like my dad, my brother, cares about kids. And the reason he continues to grow his legacy is because he wants the kids to enjoy coming into the Falcons, Mercedes-Benz, the Dome, and having something to talk about the rest of their life. You know, the top tier athletes, they're going to be there one day. You know, I'm very fortunate that I have 10 to 12 kids that play pro football that get to do it on the weekends. But these other guys, those are the most important guys that aren't able to go play college football, that aren't able to do the things that the top tier people are going to do. These younger people enjoy coming to the Corky Kell Classic, playing Mercedes-Benz because of these guys right here. And I appreciate what they do. not, and 25 years serving on the Georgia High School Association. He doesn't have to do that. I haven't done that. That just shows you the passion he has for high school football in the state of Georgia. And also, the other thing people don't recognize what he's done is our Gwinnett Touchdown Club was good. It would go from coach to coach to coach, but when he took it over, it blossomed. It blossomed into one of the best touchdown clubs in the nation. And it's continued to grow. The coaches have run with it. Not as good as when he was running it, but it's still good. And it's because of what he's done for Gwinnett football that puts his name on this map right here. Corky Kell, Dave Hunter Classic. And I'm proud to be a part. And I know you and my brother, and I just got to tell one little story. Kevin's claim to fame is that he kept Dave Hunter alive in a golf cart accident on the golf. Right now, that they felt they were scared of some alligators at Monroe, and they were both looking at fake alligators, and they went straight into the lake. And so Kevin and Coach Hunter are bobbing around in the lake, and they're trying to get each other out. And Kevin, this is Kevin's story now. He's holding up Coach Hunter until somebody could come get the golf cart off of him. But my whole goal here is to, and I'm proud that you're a part of my life, my brother's life, and thank you for what you have done for high school football in the state of Georgia, and well-deserving. And the kids at Corky Kell, to be honest with you, as a coach, it's the worst thing in the world because you're stressed out about tickets. But it is the best thing in the world for your kids. And that's why we're here today. Thank you so much. It's for our kids. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Keith. I knew that would be good. There are 4 partners in Corky Kell. Dave Hunter, of course, Jimmy Dorsey, Beverly Postel, who's sitting in front of us right now. And, I asked Beverly if she wanted to speak, and she said she'd rather not. But at the same time, I wanted to say to her that how much I know myself personally has enjoyed getting to know you, your daughter, your family. We look forward to your grandson playing on Saturdays in a couple of years. Obviously, you made a huge difference at McEachern High School, but you've also made a huge difference for the Corky Kell Classic. And we have had a lot of lunches and a lot of phone calls over the year, Beverly, but thank you. The other partner is Jimmy Dorsey. And, I met Jimmy actually before I got involved with the Corky Kell Classic. And, of course, Jimmy did a tremendous job as the head football coach at McEachern High School. And he's a Hall of Fame coach. And of the 4, he's probably the most sensible of them. And, in fact, in all the years that I still don't get this, but in all the years that I've known Jimmy, I've only seen him get mad once at Georgia State. I think you remember what I'm talking about. Just one time, which really, kind of makes you wonder how the heck he was so successful on the football field. I would have loved to have been in a locker room at halftime when he was down by a couple of touchdowns to Marietta. But Jimmy's been huge. He's a good person from a great family, and I know he would like to come up and say something about Dave.
As a young coach back in my day at McEachern, when I came to McEachern many moons ago, 30-something, maybe 40, I don't know, I lose track at this stage of the game, I really didn't know what I was doing. But I was fortunate that I was able to find myself under the leadership of some of the people that have been discussed here today. Number one, as a young coach, I started as an assistant coach in Cobb County when Corky Kell was the athletic director. I think at the very beginning he might have still been coaching, maybe at Wheeler at the time. But, I mean, he was bigger than life to a young coach that was able to watch and see his success. And when he became the athletic director of the Cobb County school system, obviously that allowed me as a young head coach that was there to even get to know him even better. And then the principal that hired me at McEachern is a guy named Ralph Williams. That was the principal there when I was there for 18 years. And he was another one of those iconic people that just had his vision of high schools in general as a principal, as a supporter of athletics and all the different programs that were going on in the school building. That man was so far ahead of his time in his vision of what high school experience for kids was really all about. So that was another person that I was very fortunate to come in contact with. The other one is who we're here today to honor. As a young coach, I used to marvel at Dave Hunter and the program that he was building at Brookwood High School at the time. Not just his success on the football field, but how he took that community, got the entire Brookwood community on the same page to build a facility that was second to none, maybe only to McEachern at that time. But that certainly didn't have anything to do with me, as most people know. But as a young coach, just witnessing that from afar, you know, you say to yourself, man, I need to emulate this guy. He's doing stuff that nobody has in North Georgia at the time has figured out. Because at the time that when Dave Hunter went to Valdosta and beat them for a state championship, if my memory serves me correct, that was the first time a North Georgia high school had gone south in the largest classification in Georgia and won a state championship. And he showed us the way, when I say us, all of us others, that it could be done. Because there was a lot of us at one time or another that didn't know that it could be done. But he proved to us all that if you were willing to put in the time and put in the program, that you could compete at that level. And I think history has proven that one event in his coaching career had a resounding effect on all of us. As you grow up and you become, you know, in your career and you go back and you look at people that had influence, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Those three guys, and those are guys that the only answer that you ever give them is yes, sir. There is no conversation. There is no, well, what about this? You just say, yes, sir. If Mr. Williams told me to stand on my head, I'd just say, yes, sir. Because I was afraid not to. You know, as we got involved in the Corky Kell, and McEachern and Brookwood played the very first game of the Corky Kell Classic. And that's when my friendship, and I hope Dave, certainly I hope, feels the same way, but through the Corky Kell, we've become friends. He's just become somebody that's one of my dearest friends. And I would do anything for this guy, anything. I've enjoyed getting to know his family, and he's just had a profound effect on my entire life and how I view things and how I coached and tried to build a program and those sort of things. So, Dave, I cherish our friendship. I can't imagine. I think Corky is just sitting there with the biggest smile on his face because you, once again, as was mentioned, you did exactly what you told him that you would do. And you are so deserving of this honor today. And from the bottom of my heart, my family, congratulations. And I just can't think of a better person that's more deserving than this. And once again, yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
One of the new additions to the Corky Kell family a couple of years ago, well, actually more than a couple of years ago, was Rusty Mansell. Rusty's with 247 Sports, but he brings so much knowledge, high school football knowledge. He's followed by thousands and thousands of high school football and recruiting fans. And, you know, at times I think recruiting, sort of leaves a kind of a tough taste in your mouth, or it has over the years. But I think Rusty's one of the ones that has really done a good job, because he's one of those recruiting analysts that not only helps the kids that are 3, 4, and 5 stars, but really helps the kids that, are Division III or Division II or junior college. So I wanted to bring Rusty up to say a few words.
For the record, I do not do rankings anymore, so that's my new contract. I learned that over 13 years. 13 years I have been involved with high school football in the state of Georgia. If you would have told me in 1985 when my dad took me to the region championship to see West Rome play Central Carrollton, two teams that combined for 6 state championships in a row. West Rome had not been scored on in 11 games, and I remember a little pass, a little fumble, and Central Carrollton scored, and I remember the crowd just going crazy. And kind of from that moment on, I was hooked on high school football, even at 12 years old. I was fortunate enough to win a state championship 5 years later, in my senior year. And, as Coach Maloof said, and Coach Dorsey and everybody have kind of mentioned, it's not about that 4- and 5-star person that gets influenced. I got influenced by my high school coach. I wasn't a college football prospect, but nobody enjoyed high school football more than me, I can guarantee you that. And it shaped me, the world I was in as I got on. And getting to that point, Coach Hunter, got a chance to know him the last couple of years, and he's somebody I watched. As TV evolved in the 90s and you started seeing all these games, it seemed like every week Brookwood was on TV, especially in the middle 90s. And, I was that guy on Friday night. I was tuning in wherever I was to watch games. And as I got a chance to spend time with Coach Hunter, I know I probably get on his nerves, but I have to ask stories every week. Every time I'm around him, I want to know stories from the 90s, some of those games, some of those wins. And as I become more on TV and doing things, I meet a lot of people that come up to me about Coach Hunter all the time. And a couple years ago, we did a game in the Athens area, and I stayed with my best friend that night after the game, and he had married a Brookwood girl. And the next morning, we went to breakfast with his father-in-law and myself, and went to breakfast that morning. And he's like, "Man, watched you and Coach Hunter on TV last night." I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, I was a administrator and teacher at Brookwood." And I said, "Okay." And this gentleman had 2 daughters. He didn't have a son in the program. And he said, "Man, the year that I got chosen to paint the field, like on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, it was the greatest damn thing that's ever happened to me." And I said, "Hold on a minute, wait a minute. Now, you got chose to paint the field? That was a big deal." He goes, "Oh, my God, we had to try out. It was such a big, it was like the Olympics to be able to paint the field." And I thought, what type of environment has Dave Hunter to get free labor, and he thinks that everybody is just like, this is a big deal. But I can tell you, this conversation took place 2 years ago. His kids graduated in the mid-'90s, and he still was he was ready to go paint fields. So, the influence that Dave has, little stories like that, there's countless people. And I said this last night to a group of parents, and I say this every time I speak. Somewhere along the line, we have lost the thought of football creates productive males in the workforce, in the homes, and you learn to be a teammate, and you learn to handle adversity, and you learn to be successful. And Dave Hunter will never know the amount of people that he has influenced, but it's thousands and thousands and thousands of people he has shaped. He is my friend. I will steal a quote from one of my favorite movies, Remember the Titans, Coach, your Hall of Fame, in my book. I'm so excited to be a little bit a part of this. I look forward to it. Many, many, many years, we're going to sit over here in that last game, and you go, "God, IJ, please run the clock. Please, no more commercials." And the last thing I'll tell you, if you don't know Dave Hunter and you don't deal with Dave Hunter, let me tell you something. If Dave Hunter calls you, you better answer, because in about 5 minutes, he's going to call you right back. Love you, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. Finally, we have GHSA Executive Director Robin Hines. For Corky to take the leaps we have taken over the last few years, we needed a strong relationship with Robin and the rest of the GHSA. In not only football, Robin and his team, which is part of it right over here, has taken the state of Georgia to truly incredible heights in the world of high school sports. So, Robin, first of all, I want to thank you for all your help and your staff and your team. And I know you would like to say a few words about Dave.
I would, Dave. Of course I would. But before I start on Dave, a little housekeeping from the GHSA. Did I hear Keith say that he liked to cheat? Did I hear you say that? Dave, did he say that? No, but it is an honor to be here, and for myself and for to represent the Georgia High School Association. And I just have to, when we do these things and you hear the different people speak, you hear some common things come through. And on a personal level, when Jimmy talking about when you went down there and whipped Valdosta, I'll be honest with you, being a South Georgia boy from Thomasville, I've been in a lot of those Thomasville Valdosta games, Moultrie Valdosta Lounge and all that stuff. It hurt my feelings a little bit because it seemed like there was a seismic shift in the power in the state of Georgia.